After a week away, I'm still Jenna Wolf. He is still the Hall of Famer Chris Carter, and this is Nick Wright.
All good, baby.
We have been away, and we have missed you, but we are still caught up on everything that happened.
Yeah, don't adjust your TV. It's not your color. We're all looking a little more chocolate. Jenna, beautiful with the tan.
He could say
Nick
that.
Wright bringing in the middle, and of course me. You know, I got a built-in thing, but it's enhanced.
Oh, we've got a fun 3 hours ahead for you, but we're happy to be back together. Let us start with LeBron James. That is where we left off. That is where we will pick up. So the Lakers lost to the Pelicans over the weekend, a Pelicans team without Anthony Davis. The loss dropped the Lakers a game below 500. They're now 3 games out of the playoff picture. Not a great spot to be in with only 23 games left to play. As a result, LeBron had some harsh words for his teammates after the game. Take a listen.
You've never been there or know what it takes to actually, you know, shoot for something like that. And sometimes you're afraid to get uncomfortable. You know, so you got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. So I'm not saying that's what we are as a whole. Kind of looks that way at times. That, you know, sometimes we feel like we're afraid to be uncomfortable, kind of get out of our comfort zone. You know, kind of, you know, have that sense of urgency, you know, from the jump. Not be afraid to actually go out and fail to succeed. So, I mean, we have, what, 23 games left. You know, it's just been so, like, in the last few years, you know, everybody's so accustomed to the losses that I'm just not accustomed to. I'm not accustomed to it. I would never get comfortable with losing. So, you know, losing game 1 to Houston, it feels the same as losing game 59 in New Orleans for me. That's just how I'm built. That's who I am.
LeBron is so locked in, keyed in. At all times, he knows exactly how many games are left on the schedule. You wonder if you polled everyone on the team, they knew that there were 23 games left to go for this Lakers team. See, what'd you make of what LeBron had to say?
LeBron's frustrated. It's been a frustrating season. It was going to be tough in the transition, but he didn't think it was going to be this tough because the one thing that he's been able to depend on, that's his availability. Last year with the Cavs, 82 games he played when they desperately needed, because they went through a couple situations like the Lakers are going through. But we knew that LeBron, he had the Eastern Conference. So we weren't worried. Well, Nick wasn't worried. You and I were worried all year. Nick, you worried? No, not yet.
Worried.
But he had the Eastern Conference. Now being in the West and with players that haven't seen it. So I appreciate what LeBron's saying, but if I was him, I'd be very, very careful, because if I take what he's saying and say that these young players, they've never been there and they're comfortable with losing, why would I keep acknowledging that? So I believe that LeBron, if he's not careful, these young players, because they're looking to LeBron for leadership, how did that help them? It might be the truth. Being a leader is very, very tough. And I thought what LeBron said, it was the truth, but it didn't help these young players. And that's what this is really about. These young players and the players they brought in this offseason, them gelling and trying to play good basketball. If LeBron had missed those 18 games, we wouldn't be having this conversation, because they would probably be in the 4th, 5th spot in the Western Conference. But now you're starting to pick apart, man, is Luke Walton really a good enough coach? What about these young players? They're used to losing.
What about these offseason acquisitions?
Yes.
None of which
supposedly they were fit to make us a great defensive team and to be able to play with LeBron James. Neither one of those things are true right now.
So here's what I think is the most interesting about what you said. It might be true, but why just say it? Because another thing LeBron said this weekend that he's caught a lot of criticism for is basketball the most important thing? And people are throwing in his face, how many TV projects you got going? Aren't you about to sit down with Maverick and do another shop episode with Anthony Davis and Antonio Brown? Now, LeBron has always been adamant about, as they put it, keeping the main thing, meaning keeping basketball as your #1 no matter what.
And I'm sure that was a lot easier when you're in Cleveland.
Of course.
Compared to being in Los Angeles, where guys, NBA players, NFL players, on his off day or in a morning or something, be like, hey, will you come to LA to be able to shoot something? Yes, there's more people available for those types of things.
And it's similar when he had the comments about social media. Young guys need to stay off social media. And LeBron is on social media as much as, maybe not scrolling as much as the young guys, but posting as much as just about anyone on the team. But there are coaching issues. There There was the LeBron health issue, which, by the way, I think is still lingering in this regard. He's got to be 280, 285 pounds. This is the biggest LeBron's been in his career. He is moving.
Now, Nick, I'm going to tell you, because I've been watching LeBron since he was a kid. And I thought when he went to the Heat, I knew he changed his body for a physical reason. So I said, maybe it's the color scheme. Then he went to the Lakers. I'm like, is it the purple? No, is it the gold? Like,
he's at least 20 pounds heavier than before the injury. I'm certain of it.
Wow.
20 pounds?
Absolutely. Listen, LeBron throughout the season will fluctuate typically between 250 and 270 pounds. Tries to put on be a little bulkier towards the postseason. Right now, he's got to be above 280, and there are also roster construction issues, but they can't deal with any of that. The health, there's nothing to be done about. The coach, they're not going to do anything about, and the roster construction. So what he needs to do right now is get with his teammates and say, guys, I can do what I can do offensively. I need you guys to carry us defensively. Because what happened against the Pelicans is 42 points in the first quarter. What happened against the Hawks was they hit, 11 threes in the first quarter. They are not coming out ready to play defensively. And LeBron's been criticized the last few years for his defense. This is the first time in his career right now he is a bad defensive player.
Yeah, he's a liability on the defensive end.
And so he needs, because even in the Hawks and Pelicans losses, which are the two losses which are why people are panicking with the Lakers. LeBron's given you 28, 11, and 16, 27, 7, and 12. So offensively, he has done everything that you could ask him.
Sure.
But defensively, the team's been a disaster. And this team was built with the idea of we will sacrifice shooting because we're going to get defense and toughness from Rondo, from Beasley, from JaVale. And now you're getting none of the offense and you're not getting the defense. So he needs, in these last 23 games, for the young guys to buy in, which is why maybe these comments were, even if you understand the frustration, a little misplaced.
Then there's this idea of the plan that they had mapped out for themselves, that in some way, shape, or form, they would make the playoffs in some capacity this year, maybe not go all the way. Then they would bring someone in, and then it would all be part of it. Do you think them missing the playoffs will affect them getting another big free agent, another big acquisition at the end of the season?
It affects a number of things. If they do miss the playoffs, they will fire their coach. If they do miss the playoffs, LeBron James will no longer be the greatest basketball player in the world. That title will be transferred. And as free agents, Kawhi Leonard and others, you have to question, really, even with LeBron James, they're not a playoff team. Am I the guy to take them over the hump? And you see the optics of the younger players not developing. So why do I want to join their basketball program? So there's a number of things that come with not making the playoffs. LeBron, 8 straight finals, 13 straight playoffs. No, this is a big deal if you can get in the playoffs as a superstar player, or you can't get in the playoffs.
And you can't just, and we learned with the Hawks game, and we learned with the Pelicans game, you can't look at the schedule and say, oh, they'll win that game.
Yeah.
Because in the last 5 games, 2 of the games that I would have thought they're going to lose, at Boston and home for Houston, they won those, because Houston had James Harden that game. They won those games, and their 2 easiest games, at Atlanta and at Atlanta and at New Orleans with no Anthony Davis, they lost those games. But the only reason the Lakers season is still alive, the only reason they're not on a 7-game losing streak is that Celtics and Rockets win. It is noteworthy. In the Celtics game, they were down 18.
Yes.
In the Rockets game, they were down 19.
So you're saying the last 7 games, they're 2-7.
They're 2-5. 2-5,
right?
And the 2 wins have taken monumental comebacks.
Wow.
Which speaks to the lack of urgency. You come out against Boston, you get punched in the mouth. You come out against Houston, you get punched in the mouth repeatedly, and then have one of your best 15-minute stretches of the season to save that game, but you can't build on anything. After that Houston win, you were like, okay, you're going to play 2 against New Orleans. You figured Anthony Davis wasn't going to play one of them, and a game against Memphis. You can win 4 in a row. And, by the way, the Spurs are struggling. They can't win on the road right now. The Clippers are falling back the way we thought they might. And they haven't been able to take advantage of it. Still 3 games back of the playoffs. I told you, Jenna, after the Pacers loss, I think it was, they have 10 losses to play with. They now have 8 losses to play with. It's 15-8 minimum.
Right.
The rest of the way, that would be one of their best 23-game stretches.
You know
of the year.
who you made happy this morning?
Who?
Coach Mangini.
Why?
That
And he went through the schedule.
Looking at that schedule. Oh,
yeah.
You can't count those as
no,
well.
you can't count them. Not this year, not with this Lakers team.
No, look, what he said was true. They need to play with a sense of urgency. He just should have said it maybe to the players and not to everyone else.
And he can play with some urgency on the defensive end.
All right, got to take a break. Coming up, should Zion shut it down?